Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. I'm Steve Hoare. This is Mike Hennessy from the Reds All Over the Land fanzine. Mike is the European correspondent. Just been to the San Siro for European away game 107. So there isn't a ground across this continent that Mike hasn't followed the Reds in. And we were saying earlier on the plane here, Mike, as well, Liverpool never lose in the San Siro. That's what you said to me and thought you jinxed us. That's 100% now that you've seen the Reds win there.
I mean, we went 3 times in the last 4 or 5 years, including the COVID year, and we won them all. And
that continued last night.
We just are relaxed there.
Absolutely, absolute Liverpool in the end made light work of Milan. We're here in Milan airport about to catch our flight home. We've got the Italian press here, and to say the reaction from the Italian press has been scathing of AC Milan is probably a little bit of an understatement. The one that La Gazzetta here that Mike's holding up, it's basically Milan whistled off by the fans. They were protesting anyway, weren't they, about the ticket prices, but at the end of the game, obviously we were jubilant in the away end, Mike, but it was noticeable. The Milan fans were on their players' case, the ultras or whatever behind the goal who stayed, because a lot of the ground was emptied. They were whistling, they were jeering. The Milan fans, as you can see on this picture, had to go and apologise to their own fans.
You've never, well, say never, you wouldn't normally see a turnaround like that, because at the beginning, once they scored the goal, Pulisic's goal, they were just mad, in a positive sense, and then gradually the confidence just ebbed away as the headers went in, and finally they were just squashed. Yeah,
and obviously I've got Tutto Sports here, and one of the headlines here, obviously the diabolical Reds, chaos in Milan. Diabolical, as Mike told me, is a positive in Italian. So basically, they had the devil in them. Liverpool were ruthless, that kind of thing. But then they also say the defeat reopens the cracks and the fans protest, because obviously Milan haven't had a good start to the season, Mike. Then they had the 4-0 win at the weekend, and like you said, we went into that stadium, and to be fair, it was quite quiet, and then they did something for Kaka, and it got the crowd really growing. They introduced Kaka, and they were really up for it to get the early goal, but actually it felt a little bit like, again, papering over the cracks is probably the right word, because that stadium from a Liverpool end, it didn't feel that intimidating once Liverpool started getting, especially after we scored that goal. It felt like the Milan crowd were half them had left, but also they were turning against their own players at times.
Yeah, and also, I mean, all the real fans are at one end of the ground. The sides of the ground that we were looking at, so to left and right, were half empty.
Yeah.
So there was no atmosphere coming from the sides, it was all coming from the far end.
Yeah.
And in fairness, that's, it just exaggerated in my view, the downfall of AC Milan.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, at the end, and I got to show that picture, look at that, the fans are literally apologising to the ultras. But I know that's quite common in Italy, but for Liverpool, Mike, to come to the San Siro again and end up with their fans, and they were 1-0 up after 3 minutes, for it to end with that image of Morata in front and all those players apologising to the ultras. It just goes to show what a good job Liverpool did on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And on our game itself then, Mike, from a Liverpool point of view, like I say, after the weekend didn't go so well, and obviously we're 1-0 down. I think it's fair to say Liverpool showed great resilience there and great character to, again, it's worth mentioning, for the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, it was quite hostile. The ultras were out, they'd done their song for Kaka, they'd scored the goal, they had the banners, the flares were out. And, in the past, you think of like Belgrade away, for example, Liverpool have kind of cracked under a bit of pressure. This Liverpool team dealt with it quite well, because immediately after they scored, and then they had a little break for the goalkeeper going down, it felt like Liverpool got themselves a bit of a foothold in the game and kind of quietened it all down a bit.
Yeah, I think, at the start of the game, I think most of us were slightly worried, because Robbo dropped and Diaz dropped. Were they the scapegoats for last weekend? Tsimikas coming in, well, none of us has ever had huge confidence in Tsimikas.
And then he makes the mistake.
And then, poor fellow, showed us why we've not had that confidence. I think Gakpo coming in, nobody was too worried about that, because he had a great Euros. He hadn't really been tested for the Reds since, and it was a good call, in fairness. I think the manager, he got that right. Yeah. But Tsimikas just, so having made the mistake, of course, we're looking there thinking, surely we're not going to fold here. And it showed the resilience that we came back in the way that we did, and we controlled the game, which is what Slot keeps telling us he wants to do.
Absolutely. And from again, we're here to look at a little bit about the reaction from the Italian point of view as well. I was watching in my room last night late. I was doing some editing, and I had Sky Italia on, and thankfully English subtitles in the room. They were very scathing of the Milan defence, and in particular just how easy it was for Ibu Konate and Virgil van Dijk to score those goals. Yeah. And again, it was difficult at the time for us, because we were at the other end of the stadium. We could just see, bits and bobs of it. But when you look back, they were 2 good Liverpool goals, but very easy. You can see why Milan and all their fans are getting on their case for that, because if that was the other way around, we'd rightly be asking questions about those 2 goals.
And I think from what I could see, and I haven't seen it, the replays yet, but Virgil's goal in particular, it seemed like he was the only player in the area to move.
We knew it was a goal as the cross was coming in. Our away end was up. If anyone watches my vlog, you'll see we all knew it was a goal, because you could see it unfold in front of you. It was crazy.
So, and then of course, I mean, the other thing to highlight is the number of times we hit the post. I mean, this could have been 6, one easily. But as often happens to us, it wasn't.
It's interesting. I've got this quote here as well. Zlatan Ibrahimovic says, "I'm the boss here." It's early days for their manager Fonseca, but it does feel, from a Milan point of view, like I say, it might not have been the worst time to get them, because I feel like I've been in Milan and we spoke to cab drivers. I spoke to the guy at the hotel, and they were like, I was like, "Do you think they'll win?" And they were like, "I hope so, but I'm not sure." Usually you'd come here in the past and they'd be like, "Yeah, we're in for this one." It does feel like Liverpool might have got these at a good time as well.
Well, I think did they not draw their first 3 games in the league, and then they won 4-0 at the weekend?
Yeah, they were unbeaten. They hadn't won until the weekend. Yeah, to beat Venice.
And so that felt good. Good result on the weekend. For me, a bad result. Put the question out there, but we dealt with it very well.
Like I say, that's what the comment says. It reopened the cracks. The interesting one again, on both of these outlets, and a lot of them, and also talking about the goalkeeper. I thought obviously it was a big blow for Milan to lose Mannion. He's only let 2 goals in, by the way, and he wasn't particularly great for either of them.
No.
But
he's the French goalkeeper.
He's a great goalkeeper. I think he's a great goalkeeper. Yeah. And I was interested. I don't know what your thoughts are, Mike, but it felt like the delay for the goalkeeper getting injured kind of helped Liverpool as well, because immediately after we scored, he's down for a bit, and then all of a sudden, it kind of flattened the mood a little bit.
Yeah, I think some of us, the more cynical ones, thought that when he went down the second time, that was his attempt to break up the Liverpool play. Yeah. That it was cynical, but actually it turned out that it was genuine. And in fairness, when the guy did go off, he got some applause from our fans.
He had a face good, didn't he? And obviously Milan played the derby this weekend, they played Inter in a big game. Like, again, I was speaking this morning at breakfast, again I was speaking to the waiter a little bit after you'd left actually, and he was a Milan fan, and I was asking about the manager and the derby, and he said if he loses that derby, and he's new but he's already could be under a little bit of pressure, and I felt like Liverpool really exploited that.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, how do I put this? I mean, I'm one of these guys who, I'm a Klopp disciple, so this guy Slot has to prove himself to me with this more controlled approach. And quite frankly, at the weekend, I'm thinking this controlled approach is just boring. Well, he answered my question last night. I have to say, this controlled approach, breaking in spurts from time to time, and when those set pieces, I got to say, chapeau, as the French say, well done.
I suppose as well, like I say, it might be that's a perfect European. You can go away, and if you can control a game away in Europe, it shows the values of it. There might be some learning to do at home in terms of if a team like Forest doesn't parks that bus, maybe you do need to be a little bit more aggressive, and that'll come. But I actually felt like someone, we were speaking on the train here, like someone like Ryan Gravenberch, you talk about controlling the game. I mean, it's hard. You'd be hard pressed to remember a Liverpool midfielder going abroad to a potentially hostile or big stadium and just running the game like that. It's been a while since we've seen.
I think Gravenberch, I mean, he's had a great start to the season, hasn't he? Because he seems he's man of the match almost every game. But I think the other one who made a difference was Gakpo, because he's got the strength to break through the lines. Whereas Diaz can be knocked off the ball quite easily. Gakpo's figure, just the physical presence that he's got. They find it difficult to knock him off the ball, and I thought that was great. If we'd had that against these tight defences, maybe that's the key that unlocks some of them.
I suppose it will. It's kind of a learning curve, but what I would say is that, again, I said on my video last night, it was like 87 minutes worth of a complete European performance if you scratch the first 3, and Liverpool got caught cold with a sucker punch. I've got a sneaky feeling, and again, it's very early days, and we're talking about one game against the Milan side, like we said before. There's a little bit of chaos around here, there's ticket protests, the fans aren't happy, the ultras are going off. But it does feel like that style of play feels a bit more sustainable away in Europe. Listen, Liverpool won the European Cup under the previous managers, and they got to numerous, 2 other finals, so it can work. But it felt like Liverpool away from home there were a little bit more relaxed. It wasn't as frantic, it wasn't as heavy metal, for lack of a better phrase. It felt like once we had our foot on the ball, it was our game.
Yeah, and until the end. I mean, when you got Nunes on, and he is Mr. Chaos.
He is, that's his job,
but that was fine, because he was out there just to create that chaos in the final third, when the rest of the team could sit back. They didn't have to support him that much, and they didn't, and we got the result. So.
Absolutely, job's a good one. We had the Italian press aren't happy, but we've got 2 Liverpool fans here waiting for a flight who are very much happy. So yeah, thanks very much for watching or listening. Do go and check out Red All Over the Land as well. They do a great job. You can download it digitally, you can download it in paper, or well, get it sent to your house. Mike will be doing a report from this trip, as he's been doing for many years, the European correspondent. So go and check all that good stuff out, and yeah, we'll catch you all soon, guys.